Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to all. Be welcome to this fifth webinar. My name is Filipe Carreira. I'm a qualified tourist guide, and I've been working with cultural and religious tourism along the last 20 years. On behalf of the municipality of Aram, be welcome to this webinar that makes part of a cycle of webinars that we started a couple of weeks ago, dedicated to Fátima and the central part of Portugal. We have a house today. We have more than 100 participants from all over the world, so be welcome. I said good afternoon, but of course I could say also good morning to the United States. Good evening for those who are in Australia, Indonesia, even in Asia. So be welcome, everyone. Well, our purpose with this webinar is first of all to present to you the Fatima region, the Aram region. First of all, is also to create a useful work tool, a practical work tool specialized for tour operators and professionals around the world. We are aware that the tourism trade is still closed. We could have canceled this cycle of webinars. We could have canceled this event, but we choose to be present, to be here together with you and to begin roll up our sleeves and take a look beyond the pandemic situation, wishing that everything was faster and that the tourism could return as fast as possible, as also the freedom to be pilgrim and to be tourist. We know, working in tourism, that the knowledge of the territory allow us to better work on a destination and on the product. And that's our purpose, to show it to you as much as possible of our territory. Fátima and Aram are located in the heart, in the central part of Portugal. And we have such a wide tourism offer that we decided to present to you itineraries of visit from 1 to 5 days without going too far from the bell tower of the Fatima sanctuary. To present these 5 days, 5 itineraries, we have with us today for the itinerary of the first day, we have Goretti Silva. Goretti from the sanctuary of Fatima. She will tell us everything about the sanctuary. With Goretti, we will follow the footsteps of the little shepherds along the way of the cross, and we will discover Valinhos, the holy places, Valinhos, where the apparition of Our Lady in August took place. We will discover the Loca do Cabeço, the place where the angel appeared, and we will discover together with Goretti also Aljustrel, the hometown of the 3 little shepherds, where we will visit also their home houses. And so after that, I will introduce to you to the surroundings of Aram and also to the central part of Portugal for the itinerary from the 2nd till the 5th day. Afterwards, we will be joined by Elizabeth Marques. Elizabeth is a professor of the Hotel School of Fátima, and of course, Elizabeth will introduce us to the flavors of the region and will present us a typical gastronomical menu, probably undoubtedly related with codfish and the medieval wine of Aram, that is the typical wine. To last but not the least, we will have a special guest. We will have the from Lourdes, from the tourism office of Lourdes. We are going to have Corinne Lossu. Lourdes is a twin sister, is a twin city of Fatima. Both Lourdes and Fatima, they make part of the Shrines of Europe Association. And so it will be a full webinar. Of course, we are open to your questions, to your doubts. You have always the opportunity to write to us through the chat. And if you need, of course, we also can open a sign in order to interact with you in a closer way. Well, for the moment, I will give the word to Goretti Silva, directly from the Sanctuary of Fatima. Good afternoon, Goretti. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here and present you with a brief journey through Fatima, a day at the shrine in Cova da Iria. The Shrine of Fatima rises in the place where 5 of the 6 apparitions of Our Lady to the 3 shepherd children, Jacinta, Francisco, and Lucia, took place from May to October in 1917. In this place, built in Covadeiria, we find a large part of the celebratory, heritage, and cultural spaces of the shrine, as well as almost all of its services to pilgrims and visitors. It is precisely here that we propose you to enter the experience, first of all spiritual, but also touristic, of a day spent in Fatima. A monumental memorial, but at the same time, a peaceful and pacifying portico of entrance to the event and message of Fatima. The shrine's program of celebrations is wide and very complete. 2 celebrations stand out as significant moments of the community experience of faith and contemplation of the beauty of the liturgy of the church. The celebration of Mass at several times, 7:30, 9, 11 a.m., 12:30, 3, 4:30, and 6:30 p.m., and the recitation of the Rosary, Fatima's prayer par excellence, insistently requested by Our Lady to the little shepherds with the intention of peace, prayed at 12, 6:30, and 9:30 p.m. In a time very marked by the pandemic constraints, which make difficult or even impossible the pilgrimage and visit to Fatima, the shrine has strongly invested in increasing the transmission of its celebrations through digital media, on the website, on Facebook, on YouTube, thus allowing that even far from Fatima, all those who wish to join this place can do so from a distance. Also of great significance is the Sacrament of Reconciliation, which is celebrated daily in different languages in the chapels of Reconciliation on the lower floor of the Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity, usually between 7:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. and between 2 and 7:30 p.m. and non-stop at the weekends. The Chapel of Apparitions and the 2 basilicas point out the scenery that the prayer area opens to pilgrims and visitors of Fatima. The Chapel of Apparitions area, in which we can contemplate the statue of Our Lady of the Rosary of Fatima, set in the exact place where the apparitions, is permanently accessible, as well as in permanent transmission over the internet to the whole world from the website www.fatima.pt. The first of the basilicas, the Basilica of Our Lady of the Rosary, holds the relics of Saint Francisco Marto and Saint Jacinta Marto, whose tombs can be visited and venerated there. Sister Lucia de Jesus is also buried in this temple. 2 colonnades culminate in this basilica, which, like 2 large arms, embrace the prayer area and altogether constitute the most distinguishable landscape built in this place, recognizable in all parts of the world. Along with the high cross that rises at the top of the prayer area, there is the grand and contemporary Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity, capable of accommodating, seated, more than 8,000 pilgrims out of a pandemic context. A building of great relevance architecturally by its circular form without intermediate interior supports, and also artistically by the large mosaic of the presbytery by Marco Ivan Ruknik. At the lower level of this basilica is the St. Augustine's area, a large space in which the temporary exhibitions of the Museum of the Shrine of Fatima have been installed for more than a decade. There you can visit the current exhibition entitled The Faces of Fatima, Images of a Spiritual Landscape, accessible daily and free of charge between 9 a.m. and 12:45 p.m. and between 2 and 5:45 p.m. Until October 15, 2022, visitors can follow the history of Fatima through several faces which brought it to life, in a path calling all humankind, in a time of pandemic, to ponder over its own condition, presenting the theme of death and life as bright moments of man's pilgrimage in the world. Guided tours of the exhibition can be requested freely and are available in several languages, in compliance with the rules defined and the current health standards. Requests must be submitted by email, museovisitas@fatima.pt. As it was said before, it is also in the central area of the shrine that most of the services center to welcome pilgrims and visitors. The rectory and the information office, reference points specially requested, are available to support those who seek for a more complete and fruitful experience of the shrine, either by scheduling group celebrations in addition to those of the official program, either for support in providing information or conducting accompanied visits to the shrine. To register pilgrimages and schedule celebrations, you could use the email peregrinos@fatima.pt. Groups with no guides may ask for accompanied visits to the shrine, free of charge and in several languages, presenting a previous request submitted through the email postoinfo@fatima.pt. In general, these services operate between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. and between 2 and 6 p.m., non-stop in case of the information office. In another part of the day, we suggest a visit to the second large nucleus of the Shrine of Fatima, often unknown. It is found in Valinhos and in the village of Aljustrel, the native village of the Little Shepherds, about 2 kilometers from Cova da Iria. Noticeable by the stations of the Way of the Cross, the Way of the Shepherds leads silently and through a natural landscape to Valinhos, the place where the fourth apparition of Our Lady took place. From there, the path continues until the Hungarian Calvary. It also leads to the place of the first and third apparitions of the angel to the Little Shepherds in 1916, called Loca do Cabeço or Loca do Anjo, and gives pedestrian access to Aljustrel. In this village, we focus on the place of the second apparition of the angel, the Well of Arneiro, and the houses of the seers. Near this well, we find the home of Lucia's family, and at the other end of the village, using the road access, we have the house of Francisco and Jacinta's family. These museum spaces can be visited daily from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 2 to 6 p.m. And free guided tours are available, also in several languages, upon previous request to museovisitas@fatima.pt. In addition to the pedestrian access from Valinhos, the village is also naturally accessible by car or bus, as mentioned above, or even through public mobility services available in the city, such as a touristic train upon purchase of a ticket. Worthy of notice and visit is also Fatima's parish church. In this church were baptized the 3 seers of Fatima, and Lucia made her first communion. There remains the baptismal font in which they received baptism. Back at Cova da Iria, to complete this journey of spirituality proper to the Shrine of Fatima, we invite those who visit us to participate in the celebration of the Rosary at 9:30 p.m. in the Chapel of the Apparitions. It ends with one of the celebratory and performative, most impressive moments of the spiritual scenery of this shrine, the Candlelight Procession, a celebration of singular beauty and meaning, reminding us the light that Our Lady revealed to the Little Shepherds, the light of God and God Himself, a luminous sphere of trust and hope, present in all the message of Fatima. This light carried in our own hands by the candles, can then endure in the hearts and lives of the pilgrims and visitors of this shrine. For all these reasons and more, we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you, Goretti. It was indeed a complete presentation, and we hope indeed to see you as soon as possible. So thank you so much. The images, they were in fact great, and it's an occasion to say that the images, they worth more than 1,000 words. I will ask you to stay with us, because probably, Goretti, at the end, we're going to have some questions, and probably I will need your help. So if you can stay with us a little more. Thank you so much. Obrigado. Thank you. Yeah, well, Fátima is known all over the world as the city of peace. And indeed, in a very ecumenical spirit, Fátima is open to everyone, to everybody, including the non-believers. So it is a place of recollection, where it's possible to stop in peace, to gain strength, and to move on stronger. So I want to share with you some tips that are important to take in account, that probably you don't know about it, but the municipality of Aram has more than 800 years of history. And the history of the municipality is related also with the foundation of this old country, Portugal. We are not a very big territory. We have around 420 square kilometers and a total population of about 45,000 inhabitants. Fátima is one of the 13 parishes of the municipality of Aram. And what I want to tell you is that Aram, the municipality to whom belongs Fátima, is the third municipality in Portugal after Lisbon, the capital, Lisboa, and the city of Porto, with more hotels. Actually, we have more than 9,500 beds. And from these 9,500 beds, 80% they are in hotels. And 64% of these 80% are beds in 3 stars and 4 stars hotels. We are located at 1.5 hours from the Lisbon's airport. Is the main airport that serves the sanctuary of Fátima, just 1.5 hours with a very modern highway. And the hotels here in Fátima, they offer, and they are known, they offer a very good and attractive price quality, and a good value for the money. This fact allows you to set up a base in Fátima and draw your itineraries in a star shape instead of staying only one night, avoiding the hassles of packing and unpacking the luggage, with the comfort to return back at the sunset to the same hotel, on time for a great dinner, and also, of course, on time to a shower, and to participate in the evening ceremonies of the sanctuary with the Candlelight Procession that took place every night after the recitation of the Rosary at 10 o'clock, as Goretti was saying to us. Well, let's proceed to the itinerary of the second day. I want to share with you the potentialities of the municipality of Aram. And the first thing I want to share with you is the Little Shepherd's route, the Little Shepherd's itinerary. Later on, I will tell you about the route of the medieval village of Aram. Then, of course, I'll give you some tips about the nature routes and also the museums of Fátima in a short, brief way. Well, the route of the Little Shepherds is a remarkable brand new route, undoubtedly a great novelty and a hidden secret. Probably some of you already came to Fátima so many times, and probably you didn't discover these hidden secrets related with the life of the Little Shepherds. Drawn in this map that we are seeing, that I'm sharing with you right now, this is a narrative route around the life of Lucy, Jacinta, and Francisco. Following this route, we can get to know 10 special places that mark the history of the three little ones. 10 places that allow us to understand lesser known episodes in the life of the seers and also about their life experience. In each one of these places, we can find panels with biographical information of the children and also of the information about tourism and cultural resources here from the municipality of Aram. The route of the Little Shepherds begins in Covadiria that Goretti before was telling us about. Covadiria, it is nowadays the sanctuary of Fátima, and continues to Aljustrel, the native hometown of the three little shepherds, where we will find the houses of Jacinta and Francisco. On the photos, you can see one of the houses on the photo on the left, and on the right photo, the photo on the right, we can see the inside of one of these houses, the house of Lucy. In this little hamlet, Aljustrel, we can find a particular museum that is property of the sanctuary, and it is the Ethnographic Museum of Aljustrel. It's worth the visit. It's a small, cozy museum side by side with the Little Shepherd's home, and it's visitable. After Aljustrel, we will continue to the parish church of Fátima. As Goretti said to us, it was in the parish church of Fátima that the little shepherds were baptized, where they had the first communion. Let me tell you that right in front of this church, there's the parish cemetery of Fátima, where Jacinta and Francisco were buried before they were transferred to the Basilica of Our Lady of the Rosary in the sanctuary in our days. A step away from the church, we have the Fatima Olive Oil Museum. It's a museum that was installed in an old olive oil mill, and there we can get to know about the history of the olive oil production, and also it's possible to make there an olive oil tasting. Leaving behind the hilltop of Fátima and only along 10 kilometers, it takes about 15 minutes, we will be in the county seat, Aram. And as soon as we arrive to Aram, we will find the local town hall. The building of the town hall is the place where the historical meeting of the children with the mayor happened in August 1917. Right next door of the town hall, another place where we can continue following the history of the seers, that is the mayor's house. The mayor's house, you can see it on the photo that we have on our right-hand side. And the mayor's house today, it's the Municipal Museum of Aram, where they were detained and interrogated in August of 1917. This little municipal museum help us to understand the geography, the history of the county of Aram, and also to understand the historical and social context at the time of the apparitions of Our Lady in 1917. Right next door of this old mayor's house, we can see the parish church of Aram that we can see on the left photo, and also the old St. Augustine Hospital, where Jacinta was hospitalized 2 months before she was carried to the pediatric hospital in Lisbon, where she died. Right next door, we will discover the streets of Aram, because we are in the middle of the old town center of Aram in our days. And in these narrow streets, we can find local shops, terraces, where we can have a wine and taste the bolo do caco. It's a local sweet, is a local particularity made with sweet fennel. It's very typical here in Aram, bolo do caco. Point out also here in the center of Aram, the memorial to Jacinta Marto. The memorial is in the cemetery of Aram, where pilgrims can visit the tomb where little Jacinta was buried until 1935, before she being transferred to Fátima. And also take the chance, once that you are here, to proceed after the route of the little shepherds, to proceed to the medieval village of Aram. Well, at this point, we are in the center of Aram of our days. And in just about 5 minutes by car or with bus, we can reach the walls of the medieval village of Aram. It's a wonderful place for its historical value and beauty, to the point that it was classified entirely by the Portuguese government, and it was classified as a place of public interest. There's where to park the bus or the bus. The parking is free, and we start our visit on foot. We enter in the village. Here you can see a map from a view from the very small medieval village of Aram. We start our visit crossing the village's gate in the walls. And as soon as we cross this village gate that we can see on the right photo, we will feel immediately that we are that time in the medieval village of Aram, time there is still time. We will feel like we are transported back to the past. From the wonder that is the Gothic fountain that you can see here on the left-hand side. This Gothic fountain has 600 years of age. We can stroll around this little medieval village along the narrow cobbled streets. Everything here makes us feel go back to the past until we reach the 800-year-old castle that you can see here in this image. This castle was classified as national monument, the Aram Castle. From the Aram Castle, we can reach the St. James Courtyard that we can see on the photo on the left. And from this St. James Courtyard, we can enjoy a striking panorama. And attached to the castle, we also have the palace of the Counts of Aram. The palace is incredible. It's the single palace that we have in the country, made according to the Moorish and Italian Renaissance style influences in its architecture. Leaving behind the castle and the palace, we can find the church, the old collegiate, and the crypt that we can see on the photo that we have on our left-hand side. This old collegiate was consecrated to Our Lady of the Mercy since the 15th century. It is important to visit here the vaulted crypt. Before leaving this village of a medieval village of Aram, I want to tell you that by tradition, we Portuguese, before, during, or after the visit, we drink ginginha. Ginginha is the traditional sweet cherry liqueur, and it's a must-have to do in the medieval village of Aram, the tasting of ginginha, and there are so many old taverns where you can taste it. Also in the lands of Aram and in the surroundings of Fátima, very close to the sanctuary, we can find the little sanctuary of Our Lady of the Nettle. It's an old Marian sanctuary from the 18th century with its white church. The inside is totally covered with glazed tiles panels. From this church, we have an imposing square from where we can enjoy a beautiful panoramic view over the nature and also of the castle of Aram. And another thing that I want to tell you about is that in the surroundings of the sanctuary of Fátima, there are so different museums. Right next door to the sanctuary is easy to find them, and they are so many different, one from the other. Well, in a short and brief way, I want to tell you about the Museum of Ethnology and Sacred Art. It's the Consolata Museum. It's owned by the missionaries of Consolata and presents this Museum of Ethnology and Sacred Art, presents to the visitors a collection of images of baby Jesus from all around the world and Christmas cribs. It's important here in the Sacred Art and Ethnology Museum of Fátima, it's important to visit the room where we can find the relics of Saint Francisco and Saint Jacinta. As you know, Francisco and Jacinta, they were blessed and canonized by the Pope John Paul II. Another museum that I want to tell you about is the Fátima Wax Museum. It's a museum that between art and history of an almost living realism, this museum narrates in wax all the events of Fátima. Another important museum is the Interactive Museum of the Miracle of Fatima. It's a modern museum. They propose a 40 minutes visit with new technologies, 4D holograms, and they tell us with these new technologies, the story of the apparitions. A particular museum that I want to tell you about to finish is the Lamps House. The Lamps House, you can find the information about the Lamps House in the Sanctuary of Fátima official site. And the Lamps House, Casa das Candeias, it was specially dedicated to Jacinta and Francisco. It's an intimate, cozy house, side by side with the sanctuary, that invite us to live and deepen the mystery of Jacinta's and Francisco's lives. The Oil Museum, well, I already told you about this museum that is side by side with the Parish Church in Fátima, and it's worth the visit. To finish this presentation, nature routes, where there are so many other itineraries and places of interest in the surroundings of Fátima. One of my favorite places, you can see the photo of the left-hand side. I'm so sorry for the size of these photos. But one of my favorite places is the river beach of Agrawal that you can see on the left photo, the first one on your left, is an oasis of natural beauty. Agrawal, it's a river beach that was awarded with the blue flag by the European Communion. It's fed by the most important spring of the Nabão River, and it is said that it offers waters with healing properties, mainly related with dermatological diseases and bones diseases. There are different hiking and spiritual paths in our lands and routes, such as the Way of Fatima, that is very known by the Portuguese pilgrims, but can be also fulfilled by the foreigner pilgrims, the way, El Camino, the Fatima's way. There's also the Carmelite route that starts in Coimbra, right in front of the convent where Sister Lucy lived the last years of her life as a cloister nun, the Carmelite route. And we also have, for those who love limestone landscapes, we also have the Carcicle route. Well, I couldn't stop this presentation without underlining the natural beauty of the giant dinosaur footprints natural monument that we have here, just located just 15 minutes away from Fátima. This giant dinosaur footprints natural monument is where we can find important fossil records of the footprints of the greatest beings that have lived on Earth, the sauropods, dinosaurs, and that were conserved here for more than 175 million years. Well, in this second journey begins to dusk, it's time to return to the hotel in Fátima for dinner and to participate in the evening ceremonies at the sanctuary. Talking about dinner is the perfect time to talk about gastronomy, and who better than the Professor Elizabeth Marques from the Hotel School of Fátima to present us the flavors of the region. I think the Hotel School has to share with us a video. It's spoken in Portuguese, but with legends in English, and probably they will tell us about the famous Portuguese bacalhau, codfish, and the medieval wine of Aram. So we are trying to get connection with the Hotel School of Fátima.
Bom dia a todos os participantes neste webinar. Meu nome é Elizabeth Marques e faço parte da Direção Técnico-Pedagógica da Escola de Hotelaria de Fátima. Irei apresentar-vos uma volta nos sabores da região. Em primeiro lugar, vou apresentar-vos o menu, que constitui uma mesa típica na nossa viagem que poderão encontrar em praticamente todos os restaurantes e hotéis. Estes sabores são resultantes da variedade de aromas das nossas serras e das nossas tradições. Começamos pelas entradas. Contamos com o típico queijo de cabra, servido fresco ou seco, é resultado das tradições e vivências ligadas à pastorícia ao longo dos séculos. As povoações destas regiões, muito ligadas à agricultura, mantêm ainda a forma tradicional da confecção do queijo. Muitas vezes também é servido temperado com azeite e orégãos, ao gosto de cada um, obviamente. O mesmo para o pão, que é caseiro, tradicionalmente cozido em forno de lenha, e a tão afamada broa de milho. As azeitonas são também um elemento indispensável nesta região, pois são a base do azeite produzido localmente. Nesta região de Aram e Fátima, é comum encontrar paisagens compostas por uma tradicional árvore, a oliveira. É parte da cultura portuguesa, a oliveira espalhada um pouco por todo este litoral. As azeitonas, resultado do fruto desta...
Well, we are so sorry. We are so sorry, we had a small delay in this connection with the Hotel School of Fátima, and probably we have to restart this, the sharing of this video of the Hotel School about the flavors of the region. So let's gonna restart and establish our connection with the Hotel School of Fátima, and we are sorry for this.
Bom dia a todos os participantes neste webinar. Meu nome é Elizabeth Marques e faço parte da Direção Técnico-Pedagógica da Escola de Hotelaria de Fátima. Irei apresentar-vos uma volta nos sabores da região. Em primeiro lugar, vou apresentar-vos o menu, que constitui uma mesa típica na nossa viagem que poderão encontrar em praticamente todos os restaurantes e hotéis. Estes sabores são resultantes da variedade de aromas das nossas serras e das nossas tradições. Começamos pelas entradas. Contamos com o típico queijo de cabra, servido fresco ou seco, é resultado das tradições e vivências ligadas à pastorícia ao longo dos séculos. As povoações destas regiões, muito ligadas à agricultura, mantêm ainda a forma tradicional da confecção do queijo. Muitas vezes também é servido temperado com azeite e orégãos, ao gosto de cada um, obviamente. O mesmo para o pão, que é caseiro, tradicionalmente cozido em forno de lenha, e a tão afamada broa de milho. As azeitonas são também um elemento indispensável nesta região, pois são a base do azeite produzido localmente. Nesta região de Aram e Fátima, é comum encontrar paisagens compostas por uma tradicional árvore, a oliveira. É parte da cultura portuguesa, a oliveira espalhada um pouco por todo este Portugal. As azeitonas, resultado, fruto desta oliveira, são responsáveis pela produção de azeites únicos, com rótulos de qualidade e reconhecidos em praticamente todo o mundo. Passamos depois para o prato principal e vamos refletir sobre um ingrediente muito conhecido em Portugal, o bacalhau. A primeira coisa que é importante saber é que em Portugal temos 1001 formas
já está a aparecer, Isabel,
bacalhau.
já está a aparecer.
São muitas, realmente. Encontrarão diferenças de norte a sul do país, precisamente porque possuem um estatuto único na cozinha portuguesa, pois é quase um símbolo da própria identidade nacional. Foi durante a época dos descobrimentos, mais concretamente no século XV, que os portugueses, motivados pela necessidade de encontrar produtos que resistissem às longas travessias marítimas, descobriram o bacalhau. E nisso realmente nós fomos pioneiros nestas questões de descobrimentos. E é por isso que se mantém como tradição até aos dias de hoje, consumindo após um tempo de seca, ou salga, dando características de aroma, sabor e textura que são únicos. A gordura que acompanha o bacalhau é o tradicional azeite, uma gordura de eleição no nosso país. Vamos começar com um prato muito típico, o bacalhau à lagareiro. É uma receita muito popular em Portugal, pelo sabor e pela tradição que lhe está associada. O nome deriva do lagar, portanto, lagar é o espaço oficina onde o azeite é produzido, pelo que a base do prato vem dessa abundância e da confecção realizada a quando das gentes na apanha da azeitona. Portanto, lagar, lagareiro. Como dissemos, o azeite é uma produção central aqui na região e por isso a qualidade dos pratos com esta gordura vegetal é também muito grande e diversificada. O bacalhau é assado no forno e vem acompanhado de batata cozida, também no forno, bastante cebola e, claro, a azeitona no seu acabamento. É aprimorado de várias formas no empratamento, mais ou menos tradicional, consoante o gosto pessoal do cozinheiro, sendo também tradicional, em algumas épocas do ano, ser acompanhado pelos grelos cozidos. Aqui um apontamento de verdura. No final, não pode faltar uma generosa e abundante quantidade de azeite. Seguidamente, passamos a uma outra confecção distinta, o bacalhau com natas. É outra forma de cozinhar o bacalhau, presente em quase todos os restaurantes da região. É uma mistura que também não dispensa a batata, que pode ser frita ou cozida, consoante o gosto, sendo adicionado o bacalhau desfiado, devidamente refogado e envolvido em natas antes de ir ao forno, que lhe dá uma textura muito própria. O empratamento permite formas muito criativas e apelativas visualmente, sendo também por isso muito popular entre os mais jovens. Uma refeição em Portugal não ficaria completa sem o vinho. E aqui apresentamos um vinho muito típico da região, denominado vinho medieval de Aram. Uma tradição, segundo consta, dos registros efetuados pelos monges da Ordem de Cister, que é única no país. Os produtores do concelho de Aram, nas suas pequenas adegas artesanais, ainda produzem o vinho segundo os métodos ancestrais, E embora tenham passado mais de 800 anos, a tradição mantém-se, sendo um produto e uma região regulamentada por portaria. Podemos descrevê-lo como um vinho branco pintado de uvas tintas. Parece uma coisa estranha, daí que seja muito bom quando servido fresco e acompanha muito bem os pratos de bacalhau. Portanto, um bom bacalhau, um bom vinho medieval. E vamos terminar com a sobremesa. E para a sobremesa terminamos também com uma bebida muito típica da região. Um licor de sabor forte, intensamente perfumado e com um sabor especial e agridoce a ginjas. Acredita-se na sua origem remonta ao século XVII e possa ser o resultado da pesquisa de algum monge frade alquimista que no culto culinário fértil nos conventos espalhados por todo o país terá chegado ao apuramento do licor que hoje conhecemos como a ginja. Sendo confeccionado por particulares e cada um guardando o seu segredo, o segredo é a alma do negócio, apenas se pode indicar o seguinte: leva ginjas bem maduras, açúcar e aguardente de muito boa qualidade. Convidamos-o a subir ao Castelo de Aram, onde poderá encontrar diversas tascas típicas que servem esta bebida. Terminamos esta parte da sobremesa com o bolo do arco. O bolo do arco acompanha muito bem a refeição, é um bolo seco, de forma circular, à base de farinha de trigo, água, azeite, fermento, canela, açúcar, erva doce, sal, raspas de limão, ovos e vai a cozer ao forno a lenha. É uma tradição muito enraizada nas festas populares da região, em honra dos santos padroeiros, mas também muito utilizado nos casamentos, como oferenda dos noivos aos seus convidados quando se despedem no final do convívio. E assim terminamos aquela que foi uma visita rápida, mas muito rica gastronomicamente pela nossa região. Espero que tenham gostado desta viagem gastronómica virtual e esperamos por todos vós presencialmente para desfrutar destes sabores. Obrigada.
Thank you so much to the Hotel School of Fátima for the availability and the willingness to be with us in this fifth webinar dedicated to Fátima and the central part of Portugal. The Hotel School of Fátima is a school with 30 years of experience, is in fact very prestigious, mainly with the 30 years of experience and the great prestige related, of course, with the formation of training professionals for hotels and the tourism with a high level of qualification with courses ranging from pastry to cooking, restaurant and bar, and of course all kinds of hotel services. Well, let's proceed. Thank you so much to the Hotel School of Fátima. I have a little remind to you, and it's one of the most common questions that we have regarding the Candlelight Procession, the evening ceremonies in the Sanctuary of Fátima. Well, the Candlelight Procession is taken by the sanctuary, is performed by the sanctuary every day, between the Easter day and the Advent day in November. So after the recitation of the Rosary, of course, the Rosary is recitated at 9:30 p.m. at the Chapel of the Apparitions, and immediately at the end of the recitation of the Rosary, around 10 p.m. We start the Candlelight Procession in the Sanctuary of Fátima. Regarding the itineraries of the 4th and 5th day, and I will try to do it as brief as possible. Well, they dedicated these 2 days to itineraries from Fátima to the center of Portugal. And I want to share it with you. So, and we can start the 4th day. As soon as we leave Fátima in the morning, just 2 kilometers away, we stop at the Grutas da Moeda, means coin caves. They are just 2 kilometers away from Fátima. They offer 12 underground rooms. They are karst grottos, 350 meters long. The visit takes about not even 1 hour. They also have a small exposition of minerals and fossils from Portugal. They also are very kind, offering to the visitors the tasting of a typical liquor. After the visit of Grutas da Moeda, just 2 kilometers away from Fátima, it's very easy to reach these caves by car, on foot, just 2 kilometers, and of course on coach, on bus. After Grutas da Moeda, the coin caves, I would suggest to our 4th itinerary the visit to the little village of Batalha. And Batalha, it's worth indeed the visit. Batalha, as soon as we arrive there, we will find a very tiny urban center, the atmosphere of a village, with typical pastry shops where we can taste, for example, the typical cake of Batalha, pudim de Batalha. It's a sweet pastry made with almonds. But a must-have to see, a must-have to visit is indeed the monastery of Saint Mary of the Victory of Batalha. It's a 600 years monastery, is a masterpiece, is a world masterpiece of the flamboyant Gothic, and it is indeed the jewel of the crown of the Portuguese architecture. The monastery of Santa Maria da Vitória da Batalha, the monastery of Saint Mary of the Victory of Batalha, was awarded and recognized, classified by UNESCO as World Heritage. After Batalha, well, right in front of the monastery, we can find, for example, this equestrian statue. You can see another photo from one of the sides of the monastery. We also have the Botacas Bridge. It's a 19th century bridge right in front of the monastery, also with a mix of Neo-Gothic style and Romanticism style. And immediately after Batalha, Nazaré. Nazaré, it's undoubtedly the most typical beach that we have in the Portuguese Atlantic Ocean coast. So as soon as we arrive to Nazaré, that is a land of legends and traditions linked to the sea, such as the old tradition of the dried fish that I want to show to you. There it is, okay. The dried fish tradition that is still possible to see in a live museum along the beach, together with its colorful fishing boats. Nazaré is so full of traditions that is, even to me as a qualified tourist guide, it's hard to tell you about all the traditions in Nazaré, but as soon as we arrive there, the ocean breeze whets our appetite for the lunch, and we won't have any difficulty to find a good restaurant in Nazaré and choose a traditional seafood rice or a fish stew like you are seeing here in the photo, or the traditional fresh grilled fish so appreciated by the Portuguese. After lunch, I invite you to go up to the top of the promontory, because Nazaré is sheltered by a promontory with a little help, the help of a lift. There it is, the lift. So on board of this public elevator is an elevator with 130 years of age. Don't worry, the cabins, they are modern. So in a very easy way, we can reach the top of the promontory. And at the top, we will enjoy a breathtaking view of one of the most extensive panoramas of the central coast of Portugal. Probably, and for sure, in this neighborhood, in the top of Ciclo, in the top of the promontory in this neighborhood, we will have the chance to find the fishermen's wives wearing their typical folk costume with the 7 skirts. Arriving at the top of the promontory, we will find the sanctuary of Our Lady of Nazaré. There it is. It is the oldest, and it was the most important Marian sanctuary in Portugal till the beginning of the 20th century. It's visitable, of course. Nowadays, it has this Baroque shape, and it's worth indeed the visit. Also, side by side with this Our Lady of Nazaré sanctuary, we have the Chapel of the Memory. And a little bit further, we will find in the extremity of the promontory, we will find the fortress of Saint Michael the Archangel. There it is. This fortress is from the 16th century. Nowadays, inside of this fortress is installed a museum, a very particular museum that tells us about a nature phenomenon, because on the right-hand side of this fortress, we can enjoy a breathtaking view over the North Beach. And North Beach is known all over the world nowadays because after the summer season, when winter starts in Nazare's coast, we have the biggest waves in the world. that were served by Garrett McNamara and became one of the most known spots in the surroundings of Fátima. Of course, these big waves only in winter, not during the summer here in Portugal. And that's why nowadays inside of this fortress of St. Michael the Archangel, we have this museum that tells us about these big waves and also a suffer wall. Well, another proposition that I would like to make to you after Nazareth, just a few secrets that I would like to share with you for those who came individually or even in group to Fátima, who are in love by the countryside and the nature. There is a very small and genuine town, just 5 kilometers away from Fátima. The name of this little hamlet, it's Pia do Urso, that means the bear sink, and it's so beautiful, just 5 kilometers away from Fátima. It's so beautiful, but so beautiful that it was awarded by the tourism of Portugal, by the National Tourist Board. There are in the surroundings of Fátima so many hiking trails, and here in our lands we have a vast giant network of more than 300 kilometers of bike lanes and mountain bike lanes. And in fact, it's and also tracking paths that you can follow, as you can see on the right-hand side photo. So it's time to return back to the hotel in Fátima, to have a shower for the dinner, and to could participate, of course, in the Candlelight Procession, and also and of course, present you also the itinerary of the 5th day. As brief as possible, the 5th day I dedicate it, and I invite you to follow me until we go together, discover and find the Templars' hidden treasure, Tomar. Tomar is indeed a Templar city. Tomar, it's the secret of the Templars, it's the treasure of the Templars indeed. It's here that we will find the most well-preserved witness of the Templars around the world, the castle and the convent of Christ of Tomar. 900 years of age, World Heritage by UNESCO, is so big, this architectonical complex with the 7 cloisters and with so many different architectonical styles that you can say that the convent of Christ, the Templar castle of Tomar, is indeed a compendium of art history. And it's very important, of course, to visit here the round church that we call Charola, that is the original church of the Templars, where they used to hold and attend religious ceremonies seated in their horses. Also, after the visit, and of course, you have to at least to book an entire morning to visit this vast Templars complex in Tomar. And of course, after the visit, invite you to go down to the center of the old Tomar with 500 years of age, a Renaissance style urbanistic structure where we can find restaurants and for our lunch. At the same time, in the downtown of Tomar, we will find the Jewish Museum and the Jewish synagogue that is visitable. Also, for those who like nature, it's possible to hike in Tomar because there are so many gardens and so many parks. The most important are the Park of Mochão, but the most beautiful, and it's my favorite, it's the Wood of the 7 Hills, right at the base of the hill that is surrounded by the fortress and by the castle. After this visit, I could not finish without telling you about a secret that we have, a hidden secret that we have in the surroundings of Fátima, that is Almorol. Look at this. Almorol, it's also a Templar castle built on the top of a small island in the middle of the river Tagus. It's just about 1 hour from Fátima, and to visit Almorol is always a special moment. Nobody forgets the moment of the visit of Almorol. I suggest you to arrive there at sunset. Is indeed a romantic moment before return back to Fátima. For those who love nature, and in nowadays these natural destinations, they are so required, I want to tell you that in the surroundings of Fátima, here in the municipality of Aram, we have the nautical station of Castelo de Bode, where you can practice nautical sports, boat tours, and of course also frequent the several river beaches that we have here in the lands of Aram. Well, I will finish my presentation in the Center of Gastronomy. Thank you so much. This was the proposition for the itineraries of the 4th and 5th day. And to make it brief, we will open now space to those who would like to interact with us. We know that several questions are arriving. I'm only waiting for the technicians that are giving support to me. There's a huge team behind the camera. So, so there's a question. Well, of course, I already told about it, but we can clear it. If the candlelight procession is already being performed in the sanctuary. We have Goretti in the sanctuary of Fátima that can clear.
Hi, hello again.
Hi, Goretti. Goretti, good afternoon. We have a question here from the United States, from Houston, and they are asking us if the candlelight procession is already on the sanctuary, and can you tell us about the logistic and all COVID measures that the sanctuary is taking in these days for the visitors? Can you help us?
Yes. Like you informed before, from Easter until Advent, the candlelight procession happens every night after the International Rosary at 9:30 in the Apparition Chapel. And the measures are being taken according to the authorities, the safety, the distance, the masks, the use of masks, everything is being held. I don't know if that was your question. It
was perfect, Goretti. Thank you so much for your support and for your answer. Indeed, as Goretti said to you, and as I told to you before, but we can reinforce the information once again, the candlelight procession and the evening ceremonies in the Fátima sanctuary. Thank you so much, Goretti, for your help and for your support.
Thank you also.
Thank you. So the candlelight procession is held by the sanctuary, of course, according to the number of pilgrims. If in that night, for example, we don't have a sufficient enough number of pilgrims, probably we won't perform the candlelight procession. But of course, by rule, the candlelight procession takes place and is organized by the sanctuary every night, every evening, from the Easter day till the Advent. The rosary is at 9:30 p.m. in the evening at the Chapel of the Apparitions. It takes normally about the recitation of the rosary 30 minutes. And after that, around 10 o'clock, we start the candlelight procession that is also called the torchlight procession. Well, for last but not least, we want now to establish connection with the twinned city of Fátima, Lourdes, in the French Pyrenees, in the French Occitanie. And with us from the Lourdes Tourism Board, Tourism Office, we have Corinne Lossu. It's indeed a pleasure to establish this connection with this twinned Shrine of Fatima, the Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes, and the Shrine of Our Lady of the Rosary of Fatima, that are members of the Shrines of Europe Association. Bonjour, bon après-midi, Corinne.
Bonjour, hello everyone. Thank you, Felipe.
Thank you.
Yes, Fatima and Lourdes are twin cities and members of the Association Shrines of Europe. And as you will see, we have a lot in common. So it will be a very, very short presentation of Lourdes. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, or at the end of the presentation, I will give you my contacts. So afterwards, you can contact me directly if you need any help or questions, information. So Lourdes is in the southwest of France, at the heart of the Pyrenees. The Pyrenees are the natural border between France and Spain. We are close to Bordeaux, 2 hours and a half from Bordeaux and 1 hour and a half from Toulouse, 2 major cities nearby with international airports. There is also an airport in Lourdes and another one in Pau with connections to Paris-Orly and Paris-Roissy-Charles de Gaulle. So it's quite easy to reach Lourdes by airplane. By a train, there is many trains from Paris, Montparnasse stations every day. Linking Fatima and Lourdes now is quite simple. From Lisbon, you take a flight right to Toulouse or to Bilbao, a Spanish city quite close to Lourdes, 3 hours by driving. Or you can also come from Porto to Toulouse also, or to Bordeaux. And Porto is quite close from Fatima and also to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And in this holy year, it can be a useful airport to reach Fatima, Santiago, and Lourdes. So as Fatima, Lourdes is a worldwide famous sanctuary and the most important one in France. Everything happened started in 1858 when this young girl you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, called Bernadette Soubirous, had 18 apparitions of the Virgin Mary right here in Lourdes. For more than 160 years, millions of pilgrims and visitors have come to Lourdes to see the place of the apparitions. The shrine is open every day, even right now. Right now, it's open from 7:45 a.m. to 7 p.m. and the entrance is free and unrestricted. You can stay as long as you want inside the shrine. It's a big domain of 52 hectares with 2 main entrances. You have St. Michael's entrance gate and St. Joseph's gate. As you can see on this map, the sanctuary is surrounded by nature. The Grotto of the Apparitions is where the Virgin Mary appeared 18 times to the young Bernadette. You have a statue of the Virgin Mary right where Bernadette saw the Virgin Mary. And inside the grotto, people go to feel the rock right where the Virgin Mary appeared. Above the grotto, you have the crypt in where you can see relics of Saint Bernadette and the Immaculate Conception Basilica, the first basilica built. Below the Immaculate Conception Basilica, you have the Rosary Basilica, which is a little bit bigger. You can gather up to 2,000 people inside. And inside, you also have 16 chapels, all covered with mosaics. It's really a museum to see inside the basilica. There is a third basilica inside the sanctuary. There are 20 chapels and churches and 3 basilicas. And the last one to be built is St. Pius X Basilica. And it's the green oval you have on your screen. It's a unique basilica because it's an underground basilica and it's one of the largest ones in the world. You can gather up to 25,000 people inside. Every Wednesday and every Sunday morning, there are international masses. These masses are said in different languages and obviously in English. Masses in English are held every day right now. You have an English mass at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. during this period. Otherwise, it's every day, different time of the day. Signs and symbols are essential in Lourdes. Water of Lourdes is associated to all the miracles that have occurred in Lourdes. So far, 70 miracles have been registered. And this water, you can see the spring inside the Grotto of the Apparitions, because during one of the apparitions, the Virgin Mary asked the young Bernadette to dig the soil and to drink the water that she would find. And she found the same spring that you can still see today. And it's the same water that you can still drink or be plunged into in the bath inside the sanctuary. Light is also omnipresent through the millions and millions of candles burned since 1858. And also, like in Fatima, with the Candlelight Procession. So the Candlelight Procession takes place, like in Fatima, from Easter till end of October. At 9 p.m., everyone gathers inside the sanctuary to sing and pray together. So it's the highlight of a stay in Lourdes and a very emotional moment that you should not miss when you are in Lourdes, the Candlelight Procession. You can also follow Saint Bernadette's footsteps in Lourdes. You can visit and see the main places of her life, like the Boli Mill, where she was born, the Cachot, where she lived at the time of the apparitions, the Parish church, where she was baptized, the presbytery, where she met the priest at the time of the apparition to tell him what was happening to her, and the hospices where she received her first communion. So it's a walking trail inside the city of Lourdes called Following Saint Bernadette's Footsteps. Lourdes has also many touristic sites like the medieval castle and the Pyrenean Museum. The castle is open throughout the year, every day. You can also go to the top of a small mountain called Pic du Gers using a funicular. So within 10 minutes, you can reach almost 1,000 meters of altitude and have a wonderful view over the city, the sanctuary, and the Pyrenees all around. You can also visit the city with a little tourist train and visit several museums. And in Lourdes, maybe you don't know it, but Lourdes is the second city after Paris for its hotels capacity. And we have hotels up to 5 stars. Right now, we can count 135 hotels in Lourdes. So for any kind of clients and any kind of budget, we also have camping sites and tourist residences also. So as I told you, Lourdes is at the heart of the Pyrenees, and it's also a great camp to stay, to visit exceptional natural sites nearby. Like at 45 minutes of Lourdes, you have the Pic du Midi Observatory. So you take a cable car and in 20 minutes, you reach 2,877 meters of altitude. And from the platform, you have a splendid view over the Pyrenees from the east to the west. It's marvelous. Another exceptional site at 1 hour of Lourdes is Gavarnie. Gavarnie is a natural theater of 6 kilometers with summits over 3,000 meters of altitude. From the village of Gavarnie, you have this view. So you don't have to hike a lot to appreciate a splendid view, a splendid panorama of the Pyrenees. Another exceptional natural site is Côte-Répond d'Espagne, with a beautiful lake overlooking one of the highest summits in the Pyrenees called the Vignemal. And it's also very easy to reach this peaceful lake and to have a picnic or enjoy a glass of whatever you want, a wine or coffee in front of this beautiful panorama. And after some efforts, some activities, you can relax in one of the 5 spas located all around Lourdes. So it's also a great way to finish a day, like in this swimming pool outside, looking at the Pyrenees environment. So these are my contacts. I'm Corinne from the Tourist Office of Lourdes. You can reach me by email, WhatsApp, phone, whatever you want. It was a very, very short presentation. There are a lot more to say and to do when you are in Lourdes, so do not hesitate to contact me for any further information. And thank you very much for attention. And we miss you very, very much in Lourdes, and we are all looking forward to see you again and to welcome you. And meanwhile, please stay safe and take care, and let's stay united during this difficult time. Thank you. Up to you, Felipe.
Corinne, thank you so much. Super. Thank you for your presentation. It was indeed a pleasure to establish this connection with this twin sanctuary, this twin city of Fatima with Lourdes. And thank you so much for the presentation regarding the flights, because we know that there are so many groups that came from United States of America, from Canada, from the South America, from Asia. They crossed the world, the entire world, till land in Europe. And of course, when they arrive, they take the chance to visit not only the sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima here in Portugal, but they take the chance also to visit the sanctuary of Lourdes in France, and also the St. James of Compostela, Santiago de Compostela. So in fact, it's the possibility that our tour operators have to draw a triangle tour of pilgrimage and tourism here in the European lands. Corinne, enchanté, il a été un plaisir. I'm really glad to have this availability, and thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Corinne. Well, Fatima and Lourdes, they are indeed deeply attached, these sanctuaries, these twin cities, members of the Shrines of Europe. Well, I want to tell you that we are still open, of course, to questions, to doubts, and we have our chat opened. So, in fact, the assistant there make me a sign, and there's a question here from Karen Pressel. Hi, Karen, be welcome. And Karen is asking, is it possible to get hotel tips for Fatima and Nazareth? Well, Karen, yes, it's possible. If you need, well, first of all, let me tell you that all the documentation and all these presentations are being recorded, and they will be sent to those of you who decided to make the inscription, not those of you who are following us by Facebook, but those of you who made the inscription. The organization, the municipality of Aram, they will send back to you all the presentations, all the documentation about this webinar, as we did with the other 4 webinars that we made in French, Italian, Spanish, and also in Portuguese. This is the 5th in English and will be the last one of this cycle of webinars. Also, regarding hotel tips for Fatima and Nazareth, well, you can contact, if you don't mind, the tourism division of the Aram municipality through the email det.cm.orem.pt, so det at cm.orem.pt, and the tourism division will be at your disposition to give you all kinds of information, mainly regarding, of course, the tour operators and the correspondents, the local correspondents, the local assistants that you can also find in Fatima that can help you and provide to you also this hotel booking. We can also open this moment before we finish this webinar. If someone of you would like to interact with us, we have now this moment available, so we can, and well, Afonso.
Hello, Philip. How are you doing?
Afonso, good afternoon. Be welcome to this webinar.
To you also. How are you today?
Fine. Thank you so much, Afonso. I'm glad to see you. Afonso is a local tour operator in Fatima, side by side with the sanctuary, right, Afonso?
Exactly. We are a tour operator based in Fatima since 5 years ago. So I believe we are the oldest one operating in Fatima. And our office, yes, is side by side from the sanctuary. It's about 100 meters to the shrine.
Okay, so you can provide all kind of hotel tips to Fatima, Nazareth, to the region, and probably to the entire country, right?
Exactly. When we talk about the hotel tips in Fatima, I would like to say that Fatima has a really good and high quality scores in the hotel standards. So we can see, for example, 3 or 4 stars in Fatima. For sure that the hotel that somebody can choose, they will not be disappointed. the Portuguese quality standards are really high. So it's a pleasure for us to operate and to operate our groups in a city and in a country that we can be proud of the quality of the hotels.
I know that you not only give all assistance, local assistance to the foreign tour operators in Fatima, but you also draw itineraries to other European shrines in Europe, right?
Exactly. For example, nowadays, for example, 20 years ago, the tourists that came to visit Fatima, they were used to stay just in Fatima. Nowadays, things changed a lot. Nowadays, it's possible to get in a bus in Lisbon and just leave a bus in Medjugorje, in Bosnia, isn't it? So we have to be prepared to operate and to have direct contracts in Portugal, Spain, and France, because for example, in Portugal we have a lot of religious heritage. Of course, in my opinion, I'm from Fatima, so Fatima is the biggest one that Portugal has. But we are about 400 kilometers from Santiago de Compostela, for example. We are about another 400 kilometers to Avila, where we can find the place where Saint Teresa was born, and Alba de Tormes where she's buried, or even Segovia or Seville. So we are quite near a lot of important religious places that the tourist that is not from Europe have to visit for sure.
Okay, Afonso. Afonso, you are the senior project and the director of the oldest religious tourism tour operator of Fatima. You fulfilled 50 years this year, right?
Exactly.
Congratulations. Well, without any kind of advertisement, but can you tell us the name of your tour operator, please?
It's Verde Pino.
Verde Pino. Okay. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
It was a pleasure to see you and to have your participation.
It's a pleasure, Philippe. Thank you so much. And I would like to congratulate the Municipality of Aram for organizing this webinar, which I believe that is important nowadays to get informed our clients or potential clients about the options that we have to offer. So congratulations for this organization.
Thank you so much, Afonso Carreira from the tour operator Verde Pino. Well, as I told you before, for all kinds of information regarding hotels and regarding, the contacts for local correspondents, such as Verde Pino or other tour operators, because there are so many, you can contact the tourism division of the Municipality of Aram through the email dat.cm.oram.pt. Well, I want to thank you so much, the availability and the willingness of all the participants. I want to make it shorter. Of course, I have to close. First of all, I want to give to all of you and send to all the world, to all of you, a huge hug full of hope and peace. Stay safe. I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you so much for your participation. It was a pleasure, and all the best to all of you. A strong hope hug from here, from Fátima. Thank you so much. Good afternoon.